Okay. So Pinchos is his birth was a little bit strange, meaning that he was born before Aaron was made into a Kohen. And the one that was made Aaron into a Kohen was Aaron of Banov, not his grandchildren. So he was left out. He was the only descendant of Aaron that was born before, and he was left out. And when did he get the Kohuna? He got the Kohuna through this Maisa. But like this till now, he was left out of it. He was not a Kohen until now. Question is, why was he picked to be at a Kohuna? Why didn't the nation give him a different reward? Or, let's say, this reward requires Kohuna. Kohuna is a very, fits the reward. In other words, if guy from Shevet Reuven would have done the same thing, would he also get Kohuna? I want to tell you no. He wouldn't get Kohuna because Kohuna belongs dafka to someone that's a Noyev Sholom and a Reidev Sholom. How do we find this? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu was arguing with the Rabbeinu Shalom about who to send to Mitzrayim, so he put in Shlach B'yad Tishlach. In other words, the Rabbeinu Shalom should send it in the hands of Aaron, who was already a Navi from before, so he should be the one that should take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. That means, why did he do that? Because Aaron is older than him, and he felt Aaron may get hurt if the younger brother gets the job. So he says, Shlach B'yad Tishlach. And so the Rebbe got very angry at him and told him that till now you were supposed to be the Kohen Gadol and Aaron was going to be the Levi. It says, Aaron Chicha HaLevi. That's the way the Pasuk is there, and Rashi over there says that. And after that, after he should have been the Levi, and you're the, now he's going to be the Kohen and you're the Levi. So now what did he see in Moshe that he lost the Midas? Why did he lose the Midas? Because of this, why did he lose this? Now, this is what I think. A Kohen could be a Reidev Sholom, a Reidev Sholom, and the cases that the Gemara brings down, or the Skanis bring down, where we saw two people fighting, and how he approached one and then approached the other one. However, the pshat in these mices are, or how much Sholom Bayison he made, he's got to be very naive. In other words, he's got to be coming along and seeing two people fighting. I don't know what they're fighting about, but they look witty and angry. So it must be that something really big. I got no problem. I'm going to make Sholom here. And he goes in there, marches in there. So it's pretty naive. He does a good job, though, being naive. On the other hand, you, Moshe, you're worried that you're going to insult him. That means you're worried that he has midas that you can't, if you're going to insult him, so therefore he can imagine, if you think he's that, he can't be Noyev Sholom. Because he imagines people getting so insulted from such a ma'aseh, you can't make Sholom with him. So obviously, he's you don't know your brother, that's first of all. And second of all, that you don't feel that he can be Michael. I'm telling you, he can be Michael. And therefore, he's the Kohen and you're the Levi. Okay, that's what the Ben should told. So it's the Midah that's important. Now, between the Eiv Shalom and Eiv Shalom. So I assume that Pinchos had that Midah, because that maybe is hereditary through being from Aaron HaKohen. And that has nothing to do with Aaron HaKohen, it had to do with Aaron. And then that becomes part of the Kahuna, but it is Aaron. So since he was a descendant of Aaron's, he can also have that midah in him. So therefore, he could be able to get this Kahuna. On the other hand, someone for Shevet Reuven who would wouldn't have the midah, not shach to give him this bracha, so he would give him a different bracha. Yeah. So, how many kids did Pinchos have? If you look in this, I can only tell you the Mefarshim seem to disagree with me. Uh, that did Pinchos have any more children besides this one? I think some say Meferish that probably, that Meferish probably doesn't mean anything. And the other thing that they have is that it was Choza when they came from Evyosa to Tzaddik. It says Choza HaKahuna to Loza. That was till then it was the Mishpach of Isama. So it says it went back to a Loza. And according to what I'm going to tell you now, that's not true. Okay. First of all, if you look in Divrei Hayomim and in Chumash Shiur, the only son that you find for Loza is Pinchos. Okay. Because of this, Pinchos, when the Loza died, who became Kohen Gadol? Should have been another child of Elazar's who was born after he was Kohen Gadol. But obviously he wasn't. It went to Isama. Why did it go to Isama? And then once it went to Isama, it remained by Isama all the way down until Evyosa. And Isama and the whole Mishpacha was wiped out. And I don't know if all Isama was wiped out, but I mean all of Isama's kids were wiped out. But definitely those, I guess, that hung around that city or whatever it is, the Novi Kahanim was wiped out. There was all these summer people. And he remained the Kohen Gadol by David until David appointed Tzaddik after the revolution for Adoniyo, and he signed with Adoniyo, so then Tzaddik became the Kohen Gadol. Okay, so but never was Chayzer to Elazar. It's Chayzer to Pinchos, because Pinchos never yarshin the Elazar. He couldn't yarshin Elazar. It's a different kohuna. Now, he doesn't come because of the Yerusha of Aaron Elazar. He's coming because of his own kohuna. So therefore, he doesn't yarshin Elazar's kohuna. Yisama, though, is coming from Aaron's kohuna or his own kohuna. So therefore, he comes in first. So if that's the case, so that's what I'm saying. So therefore, and Pinchos maybe never even became a Kohen Gadol. You find even had Kedusha of a Kohen Gadol that he may have had. That's what Rashi went down. I'll give him Sholom, a Kohen Gadol, but it's only one Kohen Gadol. The guy who was the Albert, the Shemay Begodim. That's the only way. Call me any name you want. And even a guy who was Mishamish Bikuni Gedolah. In other words, the Kohen Gadol was Tomei. And he got the Kohen Gedolah for one day, that day. He's out of business. He can't serve as Kohen Hedjit because man of Meridin. He can't serve as a Kohen Gadol because this Kohen Gadol will be jealous. Will he yarshin the Kohen Gedolah when the Kohen Gadol dies? No, his Kohen Gadol's children will yarshin it, not him. Even though he served as a Kohen Gadol, because that doesn't raise you up into anything. So the fact that you have a Kedusha of a Kohen Gadol or something, or a Ma'ilin that you think that you're still not Kohen Gadol to give it over to your kids. And I'm saying maybe not even to serve yourself again. So what do I mean that he wasn't? It says now he was around by Pelegish Begiva, he was the Kohen Gadol. I mean, he was the. But it says over there, Hashem Beisahi, something like that. That was Pinchos ben Elazar. Pinchos ben Elazar Kohen. Didn't say he was Kohen Gadol. He said Mishorish Lufnei Akin as the Kohen Gadol. Now the mashman didn't have a Kohen Gadol yet. So his job was that whenever there's no Kohen Gadol, he's the Kohen Gadol in between until they elect the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol is elected. So until they elect the Kohen Gadol, he's going to act as Kohen Gadol. So that's the way. That is Pinchos. Now, if we hold Levi like Kahanim was wiped out, and Elazar only had one son, and that's all these summer guys are out, and you have a couple of more summer guys that were left from Beis Eli, right? Those guys were still alive, who Rabba and Abaye, right? And also Mishpachas Yechanan. which lived to 18 years old, and he told them to learn Torah, so they live now to 40 years old. Where are they? You know, any family Kahanim that die at 18 or 20, or even live to 40, the whole family? No such thing, right? So they must have died out somewhere. So the only kahuna period in Mashma is only from Pinchos. So if that's the kahuna, so now the kasha is, why don't you make the bracha shel Pinchos instead of Mikdusha shel Aaron? I'm saying the reason is because if Pinchos would not have been Aaron's son, grandson, he never would have gotten the kahuna. So therefore, the Kedusha shel Aaron. That's my theory. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now it says over here, Heshiv, what did it do that you, by Pinchos do they deserve such a promotion to Kunik Gedela, is because it was Heshiv Chamosim Yabnei Yisrael, B'Kanois Kinosi. I was going to wipe out Klal Yisrael, and he saved them. Why was I going to wipe out Klal Yisrael? I mean, what reason the Benjamin have to wipe out Klal Yisrael? About Pearl? It doesn't say which kinnet. So say about Pearl. Why? About Pearl, they wiped out all the about Pearl. So they did what they're supposed to do. And in fact, the Benjamin told them to do that. Moshe's the one that said it. Okay. But they did it, and that went away from Klal Yisrael. So why are you saying it's on Moshe, on Pinchos? It's on Moshe that did it, right? Pshat is no, he's talking about the 24,000, which was a revolution. I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not, but then we'll get Nachama. There is in the Karbonis of the Nisim, even though they all come out to be the same korban, they were for 12 different reasons. Each person, the Medrash Rabbah goes through all the reasons. And the reason for Shimon was Keneged HaMikdash. The wife should Shimon being Keneged HaMikdash. He's not a Kohen. Right? So obviously help is Kumnei Kohen. Right? I really should be the Kohen. If not the Kohen, it should be the Melech. And you see this attitude because when Cosby came, and Cosby Sur, and she said, my father told me to be Mizana with the king or someone else. So who are you? Right? So he says, I need Sheni Lebetin and who Shlishi Lebetin. Now, as I come from the second son, he's from the third son. What does that got to do with anything? And so who's the king? I mean, the third son is the king. So the third son is the king. What'd you answer me? I love us. I'm really the king. And we'll see that in a second more right to that. Okay, so this was so really the 24,000, and Taki did it for a good reason. I mean, it was a bad reason, obviously, it was an Avera, but it was Sholatzman Viva Avera. That what happened over here, the Rashi in the end of Balak says that he brings the Gemara in Sanhedrin, that the Shevet of Shimon came. I don't know how many came. It doesn't say, because for the 24,000 from Shimon, so nobody did the Avera of Mount Per from Shimon. I mean, if they do a little bit, they're killing us. And because they're killing us, he went and took Cosby and came over to Moshe and said, "Me your wife, right? Anything that should belong to." So I'm taking her, right? So she was really a participant in bringing a revolution. In other words, what do you figure? Now, if they wouldn't have come to him, he would have kept quiet. He wouldn't have gone done anything. But they came to him. So now he feels that other people feel that Moshe is doing the wrong thing. So now I have a chance of doing a revolution. So therefore he did it now, right? And he had the first 24,000, and that's what my Gefa killed out. It had nothing to do with Baal Peor, had nothing to do with anything. They knew Avodah Zarah here, but it was the same Gefa that came because of Baal Peor. It didn't go away until they killed out everybody, and this happened in the middle, so he got out of it. I told you the numbers come out even. It's 176,000 plus 24 is 200,000. Okay. So that's what it says over here. Okay. Shem ish yisro amuka. Okay, say it. Shem isha amuka milyonis Cosby basu. No, next one. Sorry. Yeah. Kitzerem heim lachem, and the claim is taking me out to kill Midian. Shenich lachem avapoel, and snachta, that came because of Balpoel, they did this nus, and they did the avodah to Balpoel. Balda Cosby bas nisi Midian, achais mamuke b'yam amigayef magayf Balpoel. She wasn't killed because of the magayf for Balpoel. It says that she was killed through the Magaifa that came because of Baal Peor. She wasn't killed because of Baal Peor. She was killed because of the Magaifa that came because of Baal Peor didn't leave. And that's why she got killed. Now, as I say, she participated in the revolution. That was Albini, your Isha B'Jonis that you need to fight with Moshe Rabbeinu about. Okay. So, come to me, Seichet. I don't know if we spoke about it last week. I think, yeah. I can't believe he didn't. If I didn't, but I'll say it again anyway. Baal Peor. Why was Baal Peor so important? You said last week? Well, you don't have to say it again. Well, there's never two people here. And there? Okay. Baal Peor is different than all other. Nemesis, they should have said, Chumash. Now, the point was that they set him up until the taiva was so big and they couldn't back out. Just should have said, Chumash, bow down to Chumash. Chumash is the god of Moav. So that's what they should have said. And why do you go to Baal Peor? And it's such a disgusting avodah. I mean, you go to the bathroom and stuff like that in front of it. That didn't make any sense. Like, why would that be an avodah? It is an avodah because what it says is if it's natural, it's good. So I do what everything is natural. And so if sinus is natural, so that's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. There's an interesting Yalkut. I'm sure they're in the end of Bracha. So it's a Bracha. The way I understand it, I got only little words in my Yalkut, and I couldn't really read it too well. So I think that, but it seems that why is he buried opposite Baal Peor? Moshe Rabbeinu, it's mentioned in the Torah in the end of Bracha, Mo Baal Peor. First, he's buried opposite Baal Peor. What do I keep? He's buried opposite Baal Peor. If I get that, I would say it's a bad place to be buried, not a good place to be buried. So all of us, Baal Peor pops up every so often, and Moshe puts him down. Baal Peor pops up every situation. Baal Peor is a getchke. It's not a god. It doesn't exist. It's a man-made whatever it is there. And what do you think? Where do you have such a thing? He pops up every so often. The Moshe has to go down and put him down. So I want to time it that it doesn't mean the actual Baal Peor pops up every so often, but the belief about Peor pops up every so often. And we're faced with it now. We're faced with it when the communists came in with free love. We have it now, the same ideas, the liberalism and so on. Will Moshe Rabbeinu pop in, meaning it will stop? All these things have happened many times in history. It happened in Italy, it happened in France in many different periods of time, and they disappeared. So that's what where Moshe Rabbeinu pops up every time to knock down these ideas. So we don't know even that the fight's taking place over there, and we think that it's over here the fight. It's not over here; it's over there. But I don't know pshat really in it. But that seems to be the union that Moshe Rabbeinu saves the world every so often from liberalism, and this is really the ikar of the taiva in the world. What do you call the world? truthfully, probably food is more a bigger type. But I felt this will get you into more trouble. I think the main reason it does is because you feel somebody needs you. I don't know if you guys are little kids. Little kids, comparatively speaking. Okay? A mother and father, they get a baby. And the baby's, let's say, about a year old, because before then, the baby, I don't know if it does too much, but let's say about a year old, 10 months old, now when they do this thing. And they already know to grab something that they want, that they hold. And they put their head on your chest, lay the cheek to your chest, and put their hands around your neck. I think that's $1 billion hug. You couldn't buy that. That feels that feeling. And if I'm zeicher to that sometimes, boy, believe me, it's worth it. Okay. So I'm talking about to a parent that's a mera de gezach. So this love from another person is sometimes very important. And that's why we have, when you have in business, in the Welt, they call, what do they call it? Midlife crisis. What happened in midlife crisis? The guy is about 40 years old. He's relatively successful. And he goes off with the secretary. He loses his wife, goes in such a new life all of a sudden. Why? Because usually around that age, he discovers he's not going anywhere. You made it this far, you say nice, but you're not good enough to promote you to the next job. So now you feel really no good because of that. You're looking for somebody to give you approval, someone to hold of you, someone that says I'm somebody to them. Okay, so you go looking for somebody to say that. Your wife doesn't say that after 40 years. So maybe you got to go to someone else, and that's what they do, unfortunately. So here also could be, sorry.
Who's here? Who's here? Where else?
No, what we're talking about about meat, about liberalism and stuff. And why is it so important in this? I mean, there's a lot of other things, and if it comes in, whatever. But to say this, the whole world turns around it, and by the Goyim, they'll tell you it's close like that. He used to be a joke. Like the teenager, which 19 seconds of the day doesn't think about sex? I mean, something like that. It's a double that they assume is by everybody on, what do you call it? By us, it doesn't exist like that. Doesn't mean not anything. What do you call it? Okay, so therefore, so we're talking about Pinchos, why they deserve the color. So therefore, he was a revolution. In a revolution, we find that the Rebbeinu Shalom steps in on the revolution. What he had, the first one was really by the Egel, the thing there, because they weren't waiting for Moshe, and then got into trouble. Then by the Maragun, and then by Kerach, and each time the Moshe says, I want to destroy Klal Yisrael. And this time also, he would have said it if it would have come to the point where he would be successful in raising more people. Since he didn't raise more people because he killed them, so therefore, he saved Klal Yisrael before, because it wasn't that hard to raise them. We see this all the time. All you need is one tumor. And everybody else says, wow, what's going on? What do you call the Wacht? And then he said, it's not the tumor, they don't call it the tumor. Not the raid. It's a special one. Huh? The hack, yeah, the hack. What's the hack? What difference what the hack is, what they got to do with you, right? But if there's a hack, I want to be part of it. And then that's what happened by the Monaghan in all these places. Not a good thing. Yeah. And they told them also to count cars. Different reasons, but they doesn't make a difference. But they has to do with Lucas Solitz. And they're counting the Shvatim, and you have some strange things in the counting. So let's see by Reuven first. Reuven Chai Yisrael, he gives you names of the Mishpachas, right? And he kills you an account, Kudayim, Shleish Vabo Melech Shvamis Shleishim. And then all of a sudden, Bnei Palu Eliyav, Bnei Eliyav in the world, Mudasim Aviram, Nisi Eda, Shri Eda, and it goes into, and the ground split up, and everybody gets swallowed up, and then he met That's what we know they didn't guys from here. The whole story after the count, this is the point of the counting over here. Why are they making such an issue about telling me the whole story?
Why is it different than Irvine?
We will discuss that at one point. And the thing that, so the Tazdi is like this. Dosim Vavirim, we're not like always to talk about them as the Pashadim, I guess, Scots and bums, whatever you want. They're always fighting with Moshe Rabbeinu, and it must be terrible people. Obviously, they are. That part I'm not denying in the thing there. But to say that terrible people, meaning that they have no midas and stuff like that, they were Shait B'nai Yisrael. They were part of the ones that the Rebbeinu Shalom picked in the olden the sides of the Siyim, but the Ganze Sanhedrin had to be from them. It's a special thing. What now? What were they done? You want to call them capos? Well, what's Shait B'nai Yisrael? They would work underneath the Egyptians, right? So the Chayri, they're capos. So when capos are now, once in a while you have a story about a capo that was a nice guy. Everybody else, the capos will show you, right? So what's the biggest Shait B'nai Yisrael? No, that's not how they became Shait. Shaitan was this way, that the guy didn't bring in his count of bricks. So the Egyptian started to hit him, wants to hit him. So the guy pops up and says, I got some extra bricks. Here, take these extra bricks. They'll make you count good and whatever it is. So the guy doesn't like that. He was going to get a good game of beating up a good Jew. And all of a sudden, this guy stopped him because he gave the breaks for him. He says, okay, wise guy, you're going to be in charge. Anytime it's missing for anybody, you're getting it. That's how he became the Shaitan. In other words, he became responsible for the whole Shevet because they made him responsible for it. And he got beat up when the mice over there, when they didn't bring the thing, they got beat up. And when they saw Moshe Rabbeinu coming out from the film, he was upset with Moshe Rabbeinu. But till now, we were getting along. You came along, you wanted to take us out, supposedly, and you irritated Paro, and because he made this new law, we all got beat up because of it. So I'm angry. I'm going to tell you, when you came to take us out, supposedly, when your time you came, you made it worse for us. And then Valentine, right? And that's Moshe Rabbeinu went back to Rabbeinu Shalom, even they said that kind of them. Milvos Bossi with Dabri, so he told them that they made what bad for them. So after now you'll see. But until then, it was hurt. What else did they complain about? They complained about the supply lines, the food, water. In other words, you're taking us out of Mitzrayim, taking out an Am from Mitzrayim. It's supposed to be food for them, supposed to be things for them. Where is it? Taking them out without anything. No supply, no, you have no idea how you're going to get it. We run out of water, you go to Beit Shul, what am I going to do? Right? And then all of a sudden you get water. Good, I agree with you, we got it and stuff like that. But hey, you give us all heart attacks and stuff like that. We didn't have it. So we find that by Kerach and Parshas Kerach, what happened, that they told him they're not coming, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu sent for them and they're not coming. So Rashi says over there, what do you mean they're coming? Because normally they came. In other words, they argue with Moshe. They knew he's the Melech. And you got to remember, Eish Echad, Belev Echad, was for them too. When they were Kabbalah Satera, they had the same covenant, we rotzen to be Ovid Hashem. So the thing there. And you see the Torah calls them Kriyei Ha'eda, really calls it, it's spelled Kriyei Ha'eda. The other one we saw by Nassim in Bamidbar, they call Kriyei, but it's written Kriyei. Here it's called Kriyei, and we call them Kriyei. And it's written Kriyei. So I don't know which one is worse, but obviously this one must be worse. The thing there, what it could be that their potential was to actually become Kriyei. But I guess they were complainers. And because they were complainers, they never made it. It's not a pshat. Like this, you see complaints come, not necessarily because something happened to me. That also may happen, a complaint. But it usually happens because somebody's unhappy. Why? Because where do you see that? We saw that by, what do you call it, by the Messiah Ra. In other words, the Yasa the Arayus to them. So all of a sudden they were angry. So they started complaining about meat, about food. Hey, you didn't have no problem with food. You've been getting the food all the time. Nah, but we got to complain about something. Because otherwise, we were in a bad mood. Same thing we had, so we complained. What do we complain about? 40 years we eating this food, right? We're all alive. Nobody dies because we're eating this food, right? So all of a sudden, all we got is this food. What are you guys laying a cup for, right? Elevos, we're upset. We're not getting there. We still knocked us down again. We didn't could have gone into this, so now we got to go around the country. We got a long trip. We're tired of this already, right? So they don't. So not some person complains because he's unhappy or something's bugging him. But it doesn't have to be the mice that they're complaining about. That's the word I'm trying to say. So when you have the hack, as we call it, you don't have to know if it's the hack is for something really to complain about or they're complaining about something because they're happy about something else, which has nothing to do with you, and therefore why are you getting involved for? But that's the hack. I agree with you. Okay. Yeah, so Dasim Aviram are really that type of person. So why they put it after the count? Because to tell you they drummed out of Klal Yisrael. They're never B'Teicha. They're no more, no family, there's nothing, because the whole family got killed there. They're finished. There's nothing left of them. And they really don't count in Klal Yisrael. They never would have been counted in Klal Yisrael. Now let's get to Yehuda to show you what was asked about every Einon. So let's see over there what it says. B'nei Yehuda Erva Einon. Vayomes Erva Einon. Right? And then the B'nei Yehuda Mishpachaisim, Yimei Peretz, and then Mishpachai Yehuda, and then they count the Kudeihem, and it gives you the count. So Mashma, what it's telling you is that Erva Einon, even though they were Chaitim and they died without children, they would have been counted in Klal Yisrael. That's why they put on count after them. But why are you picking just to mention them? Because there's a lot of dead people that we don't mention. We'll talk about them when we get to Muvaita. But the nice is that these poor, you want to show this point. By Reuven, I want to show you these are not counted, and these Chatoim are counted. There's different types of Averas. Certain people are drummed out of Klal Yisrael, certain people are not. And that's the thing. Okay. Now, B'nei Kerach Leimesu, just the Mitzias, I don't know, because Rashi says they had like a place there in Gehenna. How long did they stay there? Are they still there? Okay. What I'm asking question, we have a lot of Tillim said from them, right? When did they write this? When did they have the kids that Shmuel was born from? So Mashma was afterwards. So if it's afterwards, so they must have come out. So the cows when they come out. If on the other hand, no, they must have had kids before. And normally the family was what it gone. So just like they didn't go, they had the tshuva. Their family saw, I don't know what they saw, that they stayed away. I don't know. But that's what you'd have to say somehow that the family also realized that we're not going. I mean, it's not to go. That's I can't, or maybe they hid their family, they want their family to be there. It doesn't say, just says the Snavim came up with their family. And Kerach, Mrs. Kerach definitely was there. They have other kids, it doesn't say. They have only 3 sons, those 3 sons remain alive. Okay. Yeah. Now Shimon tells you like this. First of all, with the families. Who's Shaul? Shaul is Zimri. And he's Shmuel ben Tzurishadeh. The Gemara says he had 3 names. He was called Zimri because of what he did with the vehicles there. Shauli because he lent himself to an Avera. In other words, he wouldn't have done the Avera himself. But since the Shevet came to him and wanted to be saved, and now he saw his opportunity, whatever it is, he lent himself to become the Shevet. And his real name is Shmuel ben Tzurishadeh. So it's telling you the family is called the Shauli. Why is the family called the Shuli? We loaned ourselves to Nahar, and that's why you want to call ourselves for all generations. Yeah. Because they want to tell you what midah you have in you that's wrong. We have a tendency to be very sympathetic. And we're sympathetic even to the wrong guy. And that's what you have to watch out for. So remember, the head of our family, this happened to him. And it is, so we got to be careful that it shouldn't happen to us. That's the main thing. So we always keep the family, our family surely. We have, and this is necessary. We saw, I showed you another place that's necessary. Mishpachas HaKochi, I guess you also have to have something of that. They call it Kerach's family, it's called Mishpachas HaKochi. But you have by Amalek. It says by Amalek, Vayachlish Yeshuas Amalek L'Fichol. So what did he say? Vayachlish, he weakened them. So Rashi says he killed all the Devarim and he saved all the weak ones. Al Pi Hashem. That's what God told me to do. So God saved Amalek, and then tell us we got to wipe him out. Well, he's going to wipe him out. He didn't say we have to wipe him out. He's going to wipe him out. So why? It doesn't make sense. If you wouldn't have saved him the first time, we'd be finished with them. Why did you live for? Things like this. We have to know what's bad. If something that Amalek is pushing for, it's evil, don't take it. It's bad. I'm just trying to think of one thing that was just now pretty recent, like that it's bad, and we thought it's bad. We thought it's good, and it's really bad. One thing I can see is similarly what they push for, and this is if it's something that we have to know, giving marks, or what do you call it when you want to give a chance to the weaker guys. I lower the marks so everybody can get on it.
Curve.
No, not that. What do you call it? We let in more Schwarzes into the university.
Quota.
Huh?
Quota.
No, but
Equal,
right,
equal opportunity.
Yeah. Equal opportunity, it's called. What's it called?
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. That's the word. Okay. Affirmative action, right? So what's pshat in affirmative action? It's male the gazach, right? Everybody got a chance to be a job. Okay. We're going to put women into the fire department. Male the gazach. They're entitled to, just like anybody, man to be there. But a man Shlit Hafsik for 200 pounds, let's say, to qualify to become Congress. You're going to pick a guy that has to be, it's in the middle of a fight, you got to pull him out. And it came. Women can't carry 200 pounds, right? So we lower it down to 50 pounds, right? So it means anybody less than 50 pounds, over 50 pounds, is not going to be saved. But we did it to get women into the fire department. It's a good desach. But is it a good desach? Like we're gonna suffer. The same thing goes really in everything that you talk about. Now, you get guys who do fixing a car, right? And then so we're gonna lower doctors. We want to get more what he called. So we're gonna lower the score. We want to know what he called. So you want me to go to that doctor? You go to that doctor. So it doesn't make any sense. You see, that telling you it's not a good idea. If we're capable and we really belong, and Shadish we were kept out, no hell Shadish for an affirmative action. But the things that you're making it that they're not lowering the requirements, that's an affirmative action. That's dumb. That's dime, really. What he did is dime. You're too tall, they chopped off your feet. You're too short, they pulled you apart. They stretched you. So in other words, we only believe that you have to have one surah, one thing. And that's not true. We all have different surahs. You can't do it. And that doesn't mean when we judge, we judge by benefits. The Reuven Sholom is judging the people judging. People are judging, they judge according to production. Mention judge according to the work you put in. But both things are a cheshbon how you measure, but you just the lower the thing has no one's own swallow. Okay. So anyway, so they call that, and the total of Mishples Shemaini Shnaim Vesamel from Masoyim, and it doesn't say the Kudehem or Bif Kudehem. Some doesn't even go into their count. Why not? So we have in Parshas Pinchos, in Parshas Bamidbar, we saw that they had an extra word in Parshas by Shimon that it said, what was his lotion? Kudav. He had an extra word to Kudav. Why? Because Klal Yisrael, we said over there, Klal Yisrael, every shevet makes up Klal Yisrael, 12 Shvatim. Each shevet produces something that the other Shvatim need. They themselves produce it and whatever it is there. So let's take the shevet Shimon. What their job was, the Seifrim and the Malamdi Kenoikis. That shevet Shimon. They have to do this for ganz Klal Yisrael. It's not just for what he calls. So the first time they were the third largest shevet, 58,000 and so on. So then there was enough kudav. Their counting is royu for the whole shevet. But now they're down to 22,000. So all of a sudden, all of a sudden they can't produce it. They can't teach all Klal Yisrael anymore. They can't have enough. Can't produce enough makers. We can't produce enough seifrim, and therefore we can't put down the Kudehem because they don't have the proper number. So we just tell you the number they have, but without putting down this is their number, because it's not their number. That's not the number that should be. It should be a much bigger number. Okay. Then it comes to Bnei Yosef, Mishpachosam, Menashe, V'Ephraim. Okay. How is it in Parshas Bamidbar? The opposite. Right? It's over there. Okay. The Bnei Yosef and Ephraim. Find before. Menashe before. It wasn't a guarantee that Ephraim's going to be before Menashe at all times. What he did was he gave a bracha to Ephraim, a bigger bracha than Menashe, because Ephraim will going to be more productive. In other words, he's going to have Yeshua ben Nun is going to come out of Ephraim, and Menashe is not going to be able to produce such a gavra. But what about if the Shevet is producing more regular guys than the other Shevet? So in other words, Menashe is producing what it's supposed to be producing. But if Ephraim is not doing the job, then Menashe comes first. And that's why in this counting, Menashe, look at the difference in the numbers. Menashe says, how many? 50, what do you go, 52,000. That's way up there. You can find there. And what is Ephraim? Ephraim's got 30,000. Okay. So it doesn't, why? Because a lot of them got wiped out maybe because they wanted to go out of Mitzrayim once before, but whatever is okay. But whatever reason it is, now Menashe is ahead. Not only in here, but next to Sedler, when they make the new Nisim, they put again Menashe before Ephraim. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny, it took a few days for Ephraim to take, for Menashe to take off. He always had one child, and before he became started to have children. The same thing goes for Don. Don had one son, and he has the second largest Shevet. And the guys who had 10 sons is a little Shevet. Okay. So I don't know the Pshat, because he has by Binyamin. It's one of the points that he says. Rashi brings it down that there were we know it was 10 sons, right? And he went down to Mitzrayim. They named all 10 sons, and here you only have 5 mishpachas. So what happened to the other 5? So he holds. Some went back whenever time they went back, and there was a war to return them. And in that war died 7 mishpachos of Klal Yisrael, which is 5 of them, and one from God, and 5, one from God. I forget what the other ones. So she brings it down, and the second one, and he also brings down by the mishpachas Leviim. It says mishpachas Livni, mishpachas Afoni, mishpachas Hamachli, mishpachas Hamushi. Kochi, he says is what happened to the other ones, and then he says so all they must have gotten killed in fighting each other. That was the thing. Okay, could be. Usually the Beinshah makes big nisim for guys who are doing the right thing. So again, you see, why they got both sides got killed. Yeah. Okay. The Menay Slavchot. Really here, I guess they might listen for next week's next week's service, 2 service. Anyway, they mentioned the Bnei Slavchot in the counting of men. What do they got to do counting? Slavchot didn't have any sons; he had only daughters, and these are their names. First of all, why are you naming them for? Just say he had 5 daughters. Okay, so God didn't have any sons, they had daughters. Why are you telling me? So these daughters are very choshev, obviously, right? And we have the only other girl that's mentioned is Selch Basasha, right? So somehow these women were choshev that if they would have been men, they would have been mishpachas also. They're just a woman. They know whatever they think they so they goes after their husband mishpachas. But Lamaisa, they would have been mishpachas too. That's how big they were. So what was the greatness of Bnei Slavchot? All they wanted was land. Big deal. So they want money, 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 money. Only what's the right of they're big people. Yeah. So I'm giving you something from over there. The Shiur, it says over there in the Psaki that the halachas of Yerusha came down from them because of them. And then when Shevet Menashe makes their complaint that if they give away their kids, their land to the Bnei Slavchad, they're going to lose land, right? Because they're going to get married, and that land is going to go to the new husband when he dies or whatever, when she dies or whatever. Or to our family, to the kids, if they no one dies, but the kids will inherit us. So therefore, the mitzvah is going to go to a different Shevet. So first of all, this happened no matter when. Even 5 days later, it's going to be the same thing, right? So how come the Rebbeinu Shem says, the Menashe is saying, right, okay, so the first door can't marry outside the Shevet. Okay, what about the second door, the third door, the fourth door? That's Kasha 1. Kasha 2, the Rashiva said, but what about the Bnei Slavchad? They're allowed to marry out of the Shevet. But he's saying, I recommend that you should get married in the Shevet. So he asked the Kasha Rashiva that L'chayri took away from them a mitzvah. Like this, the women have, they know there's a din of Ein Mitzvah, right? Even if you're not Mitzvah, you get schar, right? It's as much as a Mitzvah, less than Mitzvah, but then Mitzvah, you get schar. What happened if I take away from you the Ein Mitzvah, right? That you don't even have, you're not even giving you it as a mitzvah. There's no mitzvah for you. So it's not even an Ein Mitzvah. So they just give you an eitzah. So you stole from them the schar, period. You don't get any schar. So he answered that the eitzah, nobody listens to. I gave you an eitzah. It's only an eitzah. Big deal. I'm not listening to an eitzah. That get more schar for the eitzah. And besides, helps. We said this back in 68. Wasn't nice in 68. There was a depression. And it affected yeshivas very much so. And if I tell you the stock market was 900 and fell to 600. Okay? Was the market 900? So how many thousand are now? 25,000?
34.
34? I'm way behind. Okay, 34. You were talking about 900. And then went out to 600? Wow. All of my life, Okay. So I remember it was then this. He says, what happened? Why it became so much affected so much the Bnei Torah and the Yeshivas? Because Chazal tell you what to do with your money, right? Okay. They thought they were smarter. Oh boy, now Chazal, we're not talking about this thing. Besides only an eitzah. We got a deal here. We can make on the market like it's only shooting up like fire. We're going to make $1 million. I borrow every penny I can. I sell everything I have. Everything just to invest in the market. And then the market goes boom. And they lost all their money. Okay? That's what happened then. So he says if you host the Chazal told you an eitzah, you're supposed to listen to the eitzah. The Rebbeinu told you an eitzah, so you listen to the eitzah. Not that you say the normal thing, it's only an eitzah, a big deal. Stuff like that.
We're supposed to do that?
Which part?
The shlish for karka, shlish for the...
Well, so that's now you're asking what karka is and these things and things. I know. Pashtus, if the banks were giving you 5% or 7%, something that would be probably all three things. What's tachas yodi mean? Because pakmach, I need something producing money, right? Karka means either real estate or to be buried in the ground. In other words, you might say that's safe, that rent third. And it's machlekes. I just told you what it means. Either real estate or the what equal. Okay. And the third one is pragmatia. Be invested. I said that already. Yeah.
They said pragmatic.
I said, so then Tachas Yodi. So what I need Tachas Yodi for? You get a good deal. So in other words, I'm allowed to invest 2/3 into something, right? Because that's a good deal. Okay, so that we understand. Okay. The bank has both. I have liquidity. Buy Tachas Yodi. You can always go buy something, take your money out, go buy something. You're making pragmachi, you're making a good interest rate, and what do you call it? And it's safe. If you hold that, it means safe. What do you call it? It's supposedly until 250, as long as America's last, something like that. It's a good question.
No one's getting 5% these days.
That's why maybe now it's a big problem. But once upon a time, could be you were Yates by putting your money in the bank. That would say, could have been you Yates. Now, Take and Echanami, go out and go to work.
But in the
Go
stock
make a
market,
business.
if I were in the stock market, you can invest in stocks that deal with real estate. You can invest in.
Good, because that's
You can do all those.
business.
You can be Yates everything in the stock market.
But you got to do something.
Sure.
You got to put it in the
Safe,
stock
though.
market.
That's safe in the stock market. That's safe.
Okay, so a third of it, you need cash reserves. How are you going to eat?
The guy wants, the eights is for every person or only somebody that wants to know the business?
Huh?
The eights is for every yid or for only someone that wants to know the business?
No, well, I mean, what else you do? Meaning you got to make a, what do you call it? You're making, you're working. That's also really going into business. I'm not going in for myself. But, Poyo. And again, you're a Poyo. Aren't you going business? I'm an accountant. I need a job, right? So I invested in my accountantship, and now the guy gave me a job because of that. So that's business. I'm working in my accountantship for myself, which pays me a salary. I don't know, I'm going to say it that way. Okay, one day I was going to cover the Musafim, but there's time, maybe just a little bit of an idea. All the Musafim, except for the Siachatas, are oilless. The shaila is what do you why and stuff like that. So first, so I'm not going to explain the things because you have Rashi brings down that each power is Keneged Avram, Agel is Keneged Yitzchak, Kevis is Keneged Yaakov. So power is Keneged Avram. So there's a kasha, Shiva is the kasha. I have a different text, but it doesn't make a difference. It says Shnei Purim, right? Why 2 Purim? So he said he should be 1 or 3. Because if you take the pasuk literally about Avram, he took 1. If you learn that according to the Medrash, he took 3. So how come you end up with 2? So that's a Shiva is. I'll give an answer. That's the difference between Chesed and Tzedakah. Doing both things we do Chesed. Okay, so that's one thing. Ayel is Keneged Yitzchak. Now, sometimes you bring 1 ayel, sometimes you bring 2 ayel. Why do you have 1 ayel and 2 ayel? And again, depending on which korban is for which, I'll explain that in a minute, and the same thing goes for the power. Sometimes you bring 2 parim, sometimes you bring only 1 power. On the ones that do tshuva, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Shmini Atzeres, you bring only 1 power. On the other things, you bring 2 Chodesh, Pesach, and Shavuos, and Sukkot, you bring Sukkot, you bring a lot of power. But on the thing, they bring 2 power on the other one. Okay. I want to tiny because on those days, on the Dishim Hadin, you're saying to the Bnei Shalom, Bidan mi l'schus for what the Oni got. That's the Ikar. The Ikar was to give that the Oni should have something, right? So what I did to Chesed, I didn't do it to Teres Chesed, whatever it is, give me the schar for everything. I gave them anyway. Normally, we try to show the 2 inyanim. So nothing, but not on Yom Adin. Yom Adin, we try to get as many credits as we can. Same thing goes, you have the ayil, Sometimes you have Shnei Eilim, or Shchodesh, and then you have only one aisle. So it goes Keneged the Akedas Yitzchak. Again, the Akedah is that Yitzchak sacrificed himself for us. And for that we're asking for Sushim. But there really were two Akedas. There was Akedas Avram also. Avram had to go and deny everything he believed in. Right? What did it mean deny everything he believed in? He had to go and say that human sacrifice is mutter. Right? That's the whole thing you were fighting that against the human sacrifice. And all of a sudden you have to admit that it's mutter. That means everything you said till now was a lie. That means he's putting a lie to himself. And good, you mentioned you're killing your own business too. But you're making me into a now. His Akedah to be able to do that, and Avram went without a problem. So that's the thing. Then you have the Shiva, the seven. What do you think? The seven kvasim. So normally there's seven. Why there's seven normally? Because there's seven chochmas and seven ways to make a living, and therefore 7 goes to make a living, right? Then you have on Sukkot, you get 14. So why do you get 14? So I'm going to tell you that you have the parim you bring on Sukkot is connected to Goyim. So you land up with 70 parim that you go. So we bring korbanos for the Goyim. I would say that, if we bring korbanos for the Goyim, their hatzlacha means we're up the creek. So we go to Golos. We go to Golos, we have a different parnosim than we have in Eretz Yisrael. Now, Eretz Yisrael, we don't need banking. Why? Because now I pay charge interest. So therefore, there's no such thing as banking as far as that goes. Right? They made different exchanges. There's enough of money to make money that way. Could be there is, could be there isn't. If there is, they took the business also. You can't be in the tax collecting, all these business. You can't be in the hotel business is not a shaila to you. Why? Because I only deal with Jews. And when you come in the restaurant business, only with Jews. I don't have to make with you Shabbos, and the whole thing with Goyim, and you can come in and have to have Goyim till Shabbos. If I don't have it, I'm going to be out of business. So I want to tell you, I didn't make a cheshbon if there's 14 types of businesses, but there's the 7 types that now it's Yisrael, plus we need 7 types more. The chutzlor, it's goes to the golus. So that's why you bring the 14 gabanis over there. But they're all oilers. The oilers is the proof that it's a ma'aseh that the Rebbeinu Shalom is the giver. That's the gift. That's not the time to explain that because I'm good in Shabbos. But anyway, we'll have a good Shabbos.